Yes, I'm an English-speaking traditional healer. I'm a postgraduate traditional healer, and I'm so proud. I'm happy today that culture used to be known as something for the uneducated, something for the panacharo, but I'm happy today that it's professors and doctors converging to agitate for the development of culture. I'm so happy for all of your effort. As a traditional healer, I'm agitating for whoever is concerned, government and other organizations, to create some kind of integration between the medical doctors and the traditional healers. The traditional healers, we are making a very big impact on the health of our fellow nationals. Let me bring this to your attention. There are traditional sicknesses that are normally confused for medical sicknesses. People are undergoing heavy doses for cancer, ulcers, hernia, but in actual sense, it's not cancer, it's not ulcers, it's not hernia. I've spiritually healed a lot of people with those diseases I'm talking about. Someone can send you a bad demon, it sits you in the stomach, it gets stuck somewhere, and it pretends to be like hernia. You go for operations. After 3 months, the hernia is back. You go for another operation. After 3 months, the hernia is back. That's not really hernia. It's a spiritual sickness. Someone ends up dying, yet he could be healed spiritually. I wish I could have time to give more examples. Thank you, that was my contribution.
My name is Ararga Sagama. I'm from Togo. And today being the 8th of October, history tells us with Uganda, this is also our Independence Day because we were the last to sign the Independence Agreement on 20th of September 1962. That's when we signed an independence agreement to form Uganda with the rest of the 13 regions. Professor Renyugo's remarks were quite interesting, but I noticed a few observations. One, he talked about liberalization in this Uganda. Liberalization is the way to go. I give a reference from a case study of a very powerful country I have read thoroughly about this matter. And I came to agree. And this was Benjamin Netanyahu's thoughts, where he talked about Russia, which concentrated on technology and natural resources, versus them and the United States, which concentrated on the ideas economy. And the natural resources and the technology take a country nowhere. They make you very strong, but you don't become rich. The ideas economy is the biggest untapped in economy. And through liberalization and free market principles, that is the only way how you can make a country and people rich, because everyone, they have their own ideas, and yours is just to empower them and give them capacity. So I totally belong now to that kind of economic ideology. The next one is Uganda as a project, the British project. And I was wondering, so I tapped on this madam and asked her, is this the summit? Because Uganda, you asked very important questions, the questions of the federalism as a system of governance. It is very true that at that time when we were signing the independence agreement, our ancestors discussing that, it was a highly contested issue. And it was given a benefit of drought for a trial. That's why it failed until possibly the president of Uganda launched a guerrilla warfare. And still today, we still have very many failing things. So we need to organize a very big summit of the people who made Uganda, the citizens, to really discuss about this matter. We need a big conference not just a small tea room kind of discussion. The LOC system, let me bring it to your attention. The LOC system is very functional. It's very functional. I'm a member of the National Resistance Movement. I'll tell you, you won't win a vote without it, number one, because it is in charge of all those tactics of ensuring that the government keeps in power. So note it that to some extent, has been shaped to work in a particular direction. Shaped to work in a particular direction for a specific purpose. But it is very effective. This, you remember the Mayumba Kumi and so on, from that kind of, it has act of counterfeits. These counterfeits have been built by these so-called Republican leaders and their systems of kind of the Republic setup. They've counterfeited everything. And to the worst, all people below 50 years, if you censor their talk and discussion, 70% is that they are borrowing and speaking analogies of counterfeit words, which are built on separation, some form of divide and rule ideologies. These are these. All these ones were made in a way to break the formation of the people that made Uganda so that there cannot be a formidable discussion, to deny people identity and rights. And for us who understand this matter, by the way, like myself, for example, being a very key member in that, our strategy was one. So you can keep in the hype of talking and naming yourself whatever names you want to give, but we will not release the land, because that one we were made custodians. So you name yourself whatever you want to make yourself, but for us we will say, we remain as the land will remain as Touro. That word is not going to change. The land will remain as Uganda. That word is not going to change. And I thank you.
Mayanja Kaganda Aloysius. Since Robert Tulimu Karicho Summit, ngenda kubagamba bwenti era nsaba muwulirize era nsaba mukkirize. Ekisooka tuddeyo ku nature, tuddeyo ku butonde. Senga tunadda ku butonde ebisinga bigenda kutereera bitya. Obutonde bwaffe twakulemberwanga tutya. Bakabaka baffe batukulemberanga weyabba nti tebayinanga mululu nga kati oguliwo essaawa zino. Naye kaakati olw'okuba nti omu yatwefuga ne be yajja nabo omululu ayina munene, kitegeeza ki? Nti obukulembeze buno tebugenda kutuyamba. Ekyokubiri, our spiritual backgrounds and our ancestors are calling us back to restore our country and our land. Abo betunyooma betuyita sitaani batuyita kubanga bwe bwa Katonda waffe obutuukiridde. Bangi tuyina ebizibu mayumba gaffe naye nga bireetebwa spiritual nti babanja abayita mmwe abaddugavu muddeyo ku nnono yammwe. Bwe mutadde ku nnono abaddugavu bingi bigenda kusaana olwansonga nti omuzungu bwe yajja yasanga tulina engeri gye twasinzangamu Katonda waffe, naye essaawa zino si gye tuliko. Edda twawangala ne tuweza n'emyaka nga 2 oba 15 kati tufiira ku myaka na lwansonga. Twava ku gye tulina okutambulirako ly'eddagala lyaffe, ensinza yaffe, kati mukiyita sitaani batugiyita sitaani, ne Mukama Katonda mwennyini naye mwennyini munyiivu okuba nti kalikyali twava ku kye tulina okubeera. Bano bajja kutufuga. Okutufuga kwabwe muli okubba n'okutuzikiriza. Ennimi zaffe bazoonoonye, enkulembera yaffe bagyonoona. Mukitegeera? N'ebyenfuna byaffe. Tutunuulira amawanga nga Germany.
Wamala Nyanza, I'm a visual arts practitioner and consultant. I appreciate the professors, and Barbara, thank you very much. Joachim, congratulations. I have a few questions and comments. Let me go for the questions. In addition to your line of what is needed and why Ubuntu Bulamu is key and important, luckily, Nabagereka has been now identified as the key proponent of this and appreciated by the, supported by UNDP. It's Bananda Babatia. Bananda Babatia is, how can I do such a thing? How will the other people see me? Most of you people today don't have that. Then integrity. Integrity is about you stepping into the shower and the water is running and you feel like easing yourself and stepping out of that shower and going to where you're supposed to do whatever you have to do and then come back. How many of you would do that? That is integrity. But nobody's going to see you, but is it the right thing to do? Barbara, congratulations on introducing culture in the university. In the university. Is there going to be a component of culture economy? Because that's where we are lacking. If only that culture economy can be added, then we'll be good to go. So is there any section? Can the media people here please start crusading for reparation and IP compensation for using our intellectual property without compensation, the Caesarean section? They should start paying now. What actually the colonialists did was not divide and rule. No, there was divide and rule. But what the blacks, the Ugandan Africans have done is divide and ruin. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Khalid, I also come from Toro. I think he touched on something that I wanted to say, but I want to talk about myself in regard to culture. Because growing up, in our culture we have what we call omugaju. It's traditional perfume. So my mother used to do it, and it was okay. And I didn't see any evil in it. And then when you're getting married, they also do it, and the whole house is smelling very, very nice. And now, here comes someone, I'm also born again, by the way, I believe in Jesus Christ. Here comes someone tells, I cannot do those things, there is witchcraft there like that. So that one prompted me to do some research as a person. Why? So I did some research, actually, and it forced me to develop a concept of starting up a museum so that I can, get all that information and share with people. So I did a wall of, we have over 120 clans in Toro. Yes, clans. And there is this animal called Ngabi. Ngabi is a Uganda cow. And it is a totem for almost 80 clans. So I asked this guy who was trying to explain, like, what? He was like, like this animal saved so many people. I'm like, tell me about that story. He told me when our great-grandparents were going to hunt for meat, in the process a lion chased them and it ended up grabbing this Uganda cow. Then this guy would go back and say, oh, Uganda cow has saved me. He calls all the relatives and tells them, you know what? Never touch the Uganda cow because it has saved my life. I was like, wow. Now, who is the devil here? So my question is to the lady there, what strategies can we employ to address cultural misinterpretation? Thank you.
And to be talking with you people. Happy to see you, Professor Tim Sewamusa. You are my lecturer at Makerere University, but I was very quiet. Maybe you don't remember me. 83, 84, 85. Yeah, I've listened to the discussion and quite intrigued. I've bought the book, but I'm not sure I read it. Because I don't want to run mad. When I had his submission, when he talked about what he wrote, and I heard the discussion of Professor, the one, Runyigo, there, I started thinking a lot about our country. For the first time now, I know why the British did what they did, trying to make us forget our past, our culture completely. Maybe because they were building something called Uganda. I've got a friend, Israel Mayengo. He tells me that his dad was a Ugandan, but his Chacha was a Muganda because Uganda was non-existent then. Now, when you listen at what is going on around us, when you are aware of this thing being constructed on our mind, Republic of Uganda, the East African community and Africa, where we want to be, you wonder, how can we achieve that unity when we are so divided? There is a saying that you can't eat your cake and have it. I want to turn it around. Can you get a cake when you are preserving the ingredients? We want this cake called Uganda, and we want our traditional cultures individually and so religiously. What am I saying? We need our culture because we want to be what we want to be. And it's very easy for countries where there is one frame. Someone talked about Germany, Britain, France, etc. And there is a nearer example. Rwanda is developing very fast because they are all Banyarwanda, same culture. It's very easy for them. For us, it's more complicated. And as we had the constituent assembly, I beg and pray that we create something geared the creation of a Ugandan culture where we participate and contribute and say we pick this from the Acholi. I was visiting Acholi just recently and they told us for them, that's why some of the land is not cultivated now, because they feel people were killed on that land and the land needs purification. And when they bury someone who was killed and they fail to get the one who killed, they don't make him face the house, they make him face the Nsiko and tell him, go and look and act for the person who killed you. We need such things. We create a Ugandan culture. But as we talk now, we cannot say our culture. When you find me kneeling down, you get embarrassed when I kneel in front of my king. Okay? When you find someone, we must find a way of moving together. I was reading the African Bible, but there's nothing African about it. We should create a Ugandan Bible where things that don't concern us are left out and create something for us, a Ugandan thing for the Republic of Uganda. Thank you so much.
Where do we go next? We've listened, we've lamented, we've got new insights. I like what Dr. Lugalambi said. He said that when they created a category for journalists of culture, there was nobody. So they are searching because there is no capacity or capability in newsrooms to write about culture. We are not informed. So how do we move? The media plays a very big role because all of us are saying, let's go back. But go back to where? We don't have the knowledge. The people don't know anything. So go back to where? So we need some education. We need the media to guide us so that we know where we're going back. But otherwise, when we sit here, we talk, we get insights, we get excited. At the end of the day, we are going to close, go home, and forget. So for me, I'm looking for a way forward. So what are we going to do? So probably, Barbara and your organization, what are you going to do for the media to lead this struggle, if we may call it a struggle? Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Odong Okelo. And Odong Okelo. Yeah. Some guys are saying I'm born again, but I did missionary school. I think I qualify. I was to say I'm born again, I would say I qualify more to be a born again. But I'm Odong Okelo. I'm proudly from the north, like my brother Ponchiri. Professor Lwangalu Nyigo is a member of my book club in Entebbe. And every twice a month we sit at Namakula to discuss some of these issues. And last week we were talking about Professor Ike Musasizi, and one of the speakers, Ambassador Chintu Nyago, spoke a lot of things. And the bad thing was he was our last speaker. And I probably wanted you to pass on this message to him and probably to some of our people here as we discuss where we've come from as a country, as Uganda. One of the undoings we have had in Uganda is our leaders who have distorted our history. We don't know who we are. And once you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going. You definitely don't know where you're going. When Professor Chintu Nyago was speaking at Namakula last time, oh, Bote did this, oh, I wanted to stand up and say, hey, man, you're old, but what you're speaking in public is what is leading some of the youth today to inherit unknown resentment, hatred, and anger towards one another. We talk about Uganda being a colonial project. We talk about Uganda being a country that we don't know who we are. Definitely, Uganda doesn't know where it's going because we don't know who we are. He speaks up and starts by saying, oh, we Batora and Baganda are the last people. I was proudly Samelangu. If we were to talk about indigenous nations in Uganda, when Uganda gained independence in '62, the Langu were the only people who didn't have access to a border. Am I right to say that we qualify as the only nation in Uganda, Professor? Definitely. But is that something I can go about vending everywhere that I'm a Langu, I'm a Mutoro, I'm a Mcholi? It's such sentences, it's such things that we talk that are breeding whatever Uganda is right now. Issues of corruption, issues of stealing and theft, it's because we have failed to look at one another as one people. When me and my brother Alike sit, it's a very beautiful conversation I usually have with him. Because when me and him are talking, it's definitely us. Not whatever happened or this happened, no, it's us. But I look at some people like him, when you stand up and start vending political ideologies in a space where we are discussing issues about our country, we have lost it. We have lost it, my brother. You proudly say we can't allow this. In Luo we say Uganda mewa. In Luganda it is Uganda yafe. We have found Uganda. Uganda will exist even when we are what? When we are gone. It will exist. Let us enforce and let us agitate for a country tomorrow that we know this is where we came from and this is where we are headed. We are dealing with a lot of unresolved historical, political, and cultural differences as a country. Professor Lwangalu Nyigo, one time we were discussing his book, Mwanga. He writes about it very extensively. In Lango, one of the histories we have documented in Lango is the fact that we fought for 3 days defending Mwanga and Kabalega when they went to Kangai in Dokolo. I mean, Baganda can know that history. They can't. But we defended them when they went to Dokolo. That from West Nile, it's called the Walk region, West Nile, Acholi, Lao, and Karamoja. Come down to the eastern region, I call it Walk It. You get to realize that 90 or 80% we have a lot of commonalities than differences. When you look at the northern part of Uganda, we have the biggest landmass unused.
By everyone, if you at least have knowledge about cultural heritage, please share it with the others, transmit information. 2, the white man structured his intentions and made sure that within the education system is where we get to glorify them and we bedevil ourselves. we must use the same forum to create ourselves and reignite who we are. Embed heritage education in the national curriculum so that young people learn about it, appreciate it from the childhood level up to the university. 3, prioritize the cultural heritage sector. We don't have a Minister of Culture in Uganda. We've advocated for this, but it's not forthcoming. Some Americans say if you want to know what their priority is, follow the money. How much money does the government invest in cultural heritage? 0. Our last evaluation of the last financial year, it was 0.6% of the national budget that went to cultural heritage. Research and publish information. There is a lot of information. Informants, we are still lucky, some of them are still alive. Can we contribute to Afrocentric information and also do a little bit of Eurocentric, Americacentric for comparison purposes, but when we are entrenching ourselves in our own. And lastly, let's support to do capacity building, training of teachers, training of enthusiasts, training of our young people and everywhere. I am because you are. You are because we are. Be blessed.